Hello. I don't know if I'm going to be posting this on YouTube or not. So here we go. I don't know if I'm going to be doing reads either. You know what? I'm going to do a read for myself while people are joining on what can I expect for this live tonight. Which way? This way. Okay, so it's head side up. And it's Washington's crossing of the Delaware. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It's just a quarter. If you're from the States, you may have seen these quarters. Hello, people who are joining. So head side up, and it's Washington that's also on our quarters here. What does that say to me? So one, it's the crossing. It makes the crossing go upside down, and he has like this, I suppose, like sword or rapier that's like going straight out. So this says to me that this will be a live having to do with more intellect rather than just instinct. Okay, so we'll see what goes on with that. So thanks everybody for joining. I just did a live to see how things would go for this live, or I just did a read to see how things would go for this live. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if any of you know. I love history. Hello, Paige. Hello. Reading is hard. Lid clean? I'm sorry. My dyslexia. Hello, Jess. With the sunflower. Perfect. So, funny thing, when Washington crossed the Delaware, and I learned this through drunk history, what else? They waited for, I think, Christmas, where they wanted the opposing side, who I think were Germans hired by the English, thank you, Texas Rose, to basically get them all drunk for the holiday, and then they crossed the Delaware in order to have the most advantage. So, if that's not saying how this country was founded, I don't know what else it is. The Prussians, thank you, Tom. Yes. You saw me on Snapchat. Yeah, I was recently on an episode of Love Don't Judge. If you haven't seen that yet, I would love if you go check it out. It is on YouTube, and that was so much fun to film. Catherine and I actually did a live on Wednesday where we talked about that, and that recording of the live will be going up on Monday on the tube of you. Yeah, we filmed for 9 hours and only 9 minutes got to the final cut. So we're talking about the rest of the 9 hours having seen the edit that they made. So all in all, very fun, very fun. So thanks everybody who have been watching that. Yes, thank you, mods. I appreciate you so much. Oh, and you saw it. Wonderful. I'm glad that you got a chance to see it. Oh, thank you, Texas Rose. I'm just going through comments. What is Love Don't Judge? That is a YouTube channel. It's under the umbrella of a YouTube channel called Truly. Truly has 10 million subscribers. So that was very cool. Hello, Joey. I am seeing some of my Patreons here. Thank you so much for being here. Those of you who are in the community page of the Patreon that I have, keep in mind the social call is tomorrow. And for anybody who wants to become a part of the community page tonight, before our social call tomorrow, you will have access to being able to join that. So something to consider. We do at least one social call each month. Sometimes I do reads. I practice doing reads for people. And tomorrow's social call is going to be show and tell. So yeah, that's always a very popular one. Sometimes we have themes for the social calls, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just talk about like feelings or like what we're doing, or at one point we actually got a little show and tell unofficially from one of our members who has a Highland cow. So we got to see the Highland cow. You know who you are. So hello, thanks for joining. Rupert is doing well. He's been pretty busy per usual. He does like to work. I'm going to be doing a video on a catch-up for the ghosts that you used to regularly see on my skits, but not so much as of late, because they're all doing different things now. They have grown beyond the original places that you maybe have attributed with them in the past. Just like Rupert is no longer at the Bergwin Wright house, Molly is kind of everywhere, for example, and Jimothy is still in the spirit plane with Fanny, and yeah, those are the regulars. Danny, he is kind of touch and go at the museum still. I saw him over the summer. Didn't see Felicity, I don't think. And then as of late, I had a board meeting at the Railroad Museum, and I actually ran into a teenager spirit who was new. So it's so funny when I get to the museum, a lot of them, like, they don't rush me, but they're, the new ones, especially if they've heard about me, they'll come up and be like, Rebekah! So that's been cool. Yeah, they all be busy bees, for sure, for sure. It's been a lot. I do have experience with angels. I don't personally work with them. That's not the pantheon that I'm drawn to. But I have read spirit guides who are angels. Most of the time they are not archangels. They might work for an archangel. It's kind of like the same idea as most spirit guides are not deities, though you oftentimes find guides who work for a deity or who can speak for that deity or who is of that deity. So I have worked with angels, or not I've worked with angels, I have met some angels. Is Molly not on the spirit plane all the time? She is, but she's not like there 24/7. She travels a lot, and I would need to check with her to make sure that whatever I'm talking about in regards to her is okay with her. But she goes everywhere. She's done a lot of work with the fuller part of her soul so that she can do that. So I am still working on the book. It is happening. It's actually being read by some peer reviewers and some people with editing knowledge. It's very exciting. So my thing is, though, I love writing about a lot of different things, so that's where we're at. What platform do I use when doing readings? I only use Google Hangouts, and the way to book a reading with me is to go through my website. I only ever use bookings through my website. So if you get any supposed DMs, they're not from me. There are scammers out there. Please be careful. I do not do readings through DMs. I think that's really sleazy, honestly. Also, I don't think that's consensual, and I don't have time to be in my DMs, if I'm being honest. I want to give people personalized attention, whether that's a phone call or a Google video hangout. So yeah, I do not have a publisher yet. Tom asked that question. I believe that was Tom. Yeah, don't have a publisher yet. I know some people want me to self-publish to get it out sooner, though the con with self-publishing is, one, self-publishing, and two, if I work with a larger publisher, they market my stuff for me. So a lot of things that I come up against that become very difficult for me is having to do everything. It's the same thing with my videos. It's going to the places or meeting the clients and then writing down the experience and then filming it and changing costumes, filming it again and editing it and then making sure that it's being pushed at the right times and all that stuff. It's just so much work to do. So I'm manifesting a publisher. That's what I'm going to say. I'm calling a publisher to me who's going to do exactly what I need them to do. Slavic deities, not that I know of. I haven't run into deities, if I'm saying that correctly with my southern accent, Slavic deities. Though I'm not a deity reader, I'm not the deity reader on my team. I can read in a variety of different frequencies, and deity, it's just something I don't feel confident enough in to sell that service, though I have spoken with different deities. Most of them are Hellenistic, also some Sumerian, as well as some Egyptian, and some Norse, and some Celtic. So that's 4 pantheons. That's pretty cool. I've also talked to some higher spirits from different indigenous belief systems, though I don't I'm not always given a name, and sometimes it's not for me to get that kind of gratification. It's for me to give the information to the person I'm working to and have them find who they're looking for. I always want to encourage people to find their own answers. I don't want anybody to think, oh, if I'm going to be good at this, or oh, if I'm going to try this, I have to use a medium, da 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 da. I want to be a part of the step up for anybody to trust their own skill sets. I'll be real. Y'all want to hear me vent about something? You ready for this? Goodness, I actually unfollowed somebody today because she was touting this narrative of only some people can be mediums and only some people can be psychics and only some people are special and you have to be chosen from birth in order to be that person. Otherwise, you can't be that. You can't do that. And that really, it really frustrates me. Like, you know, that kind of anger where like you just want to cry? Like, that's honestly what I feel right now, because in everything that I've experienced, that's entirely untrue. And it really, really frustrates me that people want to gatekeep this when the reality is our planes are coming together. More and more people are going to be having these experiences, even if you never had an experience before. So why spread this whole, oh, but you've never had it before, so you can't do that. You can't. No. That's not for them to put on a limiting belief on others just because they think they're special. And sure, yeah, they are special, but so are you. So am I. Like, we are living in a special time. We are incarnate right now. That makes us special. And I'm not saying that to devalue anybody. What I'm saying is we all have value together because we all have beautiful things that we can add to this place to try and make it better. Because we all know the reality of what it's actually like right now. And I'm not saying this is a sort of like, and we're going to bring in love and light. You know, some people are. I'm a dawn and dusk person. I'm bringing in the dawn and dusk. I want y'all to see different phases of the light and the shadows and how it can balance one another. It makes me so sad. And basically this person was taking different tools that people use for doing readings and debunking them. And she said that if she can't make them work, then they don't work. Do you see the anger in my eyes? Like, I'm in my tent right now, so I'm actually, like, this is my chill place in my house, but, like, still, how dare? Like, we all have different sensitivities. Some of us need tools. I still use tools to do my work. Why? Because it's faster. I want easy. Why can't we have easy? My tent helps it to be easier. Why? Because it's sensory deprivation. It brings me joy and it's cozy. And you know what? If you could work from a tent and that brings you joy and you feel cozy in it and you feel safe, why not? Like, I'm holding an amethyst. I forget where it's from, but this is, yeah, it's the stone that I pulled for this particular night. But yeah, I fiddle with things. By the way, it's okay to fiddle with things. I had a conversation with somebody in a consult today. She was concerned that she was fiddling with something and that it would mess with things. And I was like, no, does that bring you a sense of peace? Does that allow you to just sit and talk with me and not feel as nervous? Great. Do it. Fiddle with things. So yeah, you know what? I'm actually gonna try to replicate what I saw this person do. So one, she'd never used dowsing rods before. Okay. And she was holding them up here, which, okay. When I want to get the best, I'm going to hold them down here. Why? Because I want to be sure that my hands are not moving. Also, do you see my thumbs? Okay. So, let's see. I want to make a connection here. Just to my own energy. Do you see me moving at all? Like, legitimately, I would love for you to comment. Do you see my hands moving? Do you see any part of my body moving except for the fact that I'm breathing because that's necessary? I'm seeing no, I don't, nope. All right. Just connecting with my own energy, I want to see a yes through a cross. Okay, do you see me moving at all? No again, no movement. So, okay, and I would like to reset. Reset, please. Cool. Thank you so much for your comments on saying no movement. Okay. So one, I'm showing you my thumbs. This reader was saying that if you can't see the thumbs, then the thumbs are like moving. I don't even know how to do that, to be honest. Like, what? I'm supposed to do this or something? Like, and here's the thing. I'm not even doing this as a sort of like, you have to, you know, like, prove it. I'm proving it to you. Da 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 da. Like, that's not even the point. I was just like, I was watching this and I was just like, how dare you? Like, how dare you come on and be like, I don't know how these are used and I don't believe in them and I don't think they're going to work. So I'm just going to do this and they're not going to work. Like, people use these for logistical reasons too. Finding water, it's an electromagnetic difference. So what's wrong with, like, use the tools that will work for you. See, even these are just like, whoa, you're angry. Yeah. It's like some kind of like, thank you, taking the rods. It's like some kind of hierarchy of like, if you can't pull in the information immediately and just like know everything all at once, you're not good enough to do this. We're supposed to start from somewhere. Like, what in the world? I could find water all over this place. Did you find water yet? I should walk around my property because I live near a creek. So yeah, okay. What are my favorite tools? Well, when I was first starting out, I used pendulums a lot. Oh, also P.S. somebody said, love your necklace. This is the Rebekah the Ghost Guide necklace. I actually work with Lala Lotus Co. She makes them and I help to design them. So if you're interested in that, the link's in my bio. But, yeah, okay, so first I use pendulums. This is not the first pendulum that I've had. This was actually gifted to me by Krista, who, I don't know if you're watching, but hello. She's the emotion coder on my team, and I'm just gonna say, I think she's very talented at making these electrified copper pieces. There you are, Krista, hi. So I just called you out, I think you're talented. Thanks, Edie! That was so cute, little bunny ears. Okay, so, when I was first starting out, I did use a metal chain. In fact, I may upgrade this for a metal chain at some point. But yeah, by the way, Krista, when I did your reading for you, and you know what I'm talking about, I used this to find geographical points of interest. So same thing. Yeah, look, Krista, I hope you're reading these comments. So many people have so many nice things to say about your beautiful work. Same thing with the pendulum. I'm going to try to keep it like as close to my body as possible, right? I'm going to pull this up. And I'm connecting with my own energy. And yeah, okay, so you probably see my hand moving a little bit because our bodies move. The pendulum isn't magic in this case. The pendulum is enhancing how we like understand energy, right? But even so, how much do you see my hand moving? Like, honest question. This is just synced with my body. So yeah, as far as tips on holding a pendulum, this is how I like to hold a pendulum, but people hold pendulums in different ways. And that's fine. Some people will hold pendulums like this. And I'm going to try to hold this as still as possible. Hold on. Reset. Okay. I'm trying to be as absolutely still as possible. There we go. So even so... yeah, I like holding it like this because I just, you know, even, Rupert is not with me right now. So I'm trying to keep it as still as possible. And I'm just in tune with my energy. The finger point is so good and so comfortable if you're doing a longer connection. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Meg. So yeah, like this is a tool, this was my go-to tool. I actually learned how to use dowsing rods on Alive back in 2022 because I had never used them before, but I came about it with the sort of like, cool, let's see if I can make stuff move and let's see if spirit can make stuff move. Yeah, so for the pendulum, and this is just the way I use it, I think it's fine for people to make their own ways of using things. I think that's beautiful. It's about making the tool work with you rather than, you know, whatever somebody else does. Doesn't matter what the pendulum is made of. I know people who have used a ring on a string. You don't necessarily have to get the most expensive one. Yeah, so I have mine programmed to do a circle for yes. And then I'd like to see a no. And then can I see a maybe? And that's when you get a kind of like oval. Dental floss works too. Yep. Thank you, Tabitha. The answer, where do people go when they die? Wherever they want. They go to a lot of different places, but they have to be well enough here in order to go wherever they want. Ring on a thread is a common one. Yep. Use a strand of hair and an earring as a pendulum in a pinch. Yes, thank you, Gail. I love that. So yeah, it's magic is everywhere. It's not about the most expensive or the specific thing. A rock on a string. Yeah, these are beautiful. Oh, thank you. Ooh, Irishman fan. I am not the prophecy reader here. But I wish you well, should you get that truck. I can do some psychic reads on the present, and for the times I have looked into future related things, I like to work with people's guides. I'm not comfortable doing that on a live right now. Because you know what? It's taken me years to admit things that I feel comfortable doing versus things I'm not comfortable doing. And I'm actually really proud of myself for being able to say those things. So, how did I come into my talents? Oh, goodness. All right. So, circling back, while I was seeing and experiencing different things at a very young age, you do not have to be born with it in order to do any of this stuff. Thank you for the gift, Jenny. In fact, I got rid of most of my abilities because they were scaring me and I didn't know how to understand them. Also, I had very poor mental health. I struggled with depression for most of my life, and that turned into anxiety, and I had a lot of issues. So how did I come into my psychic talents? I went to therapy. I got better mental health. I started to, I realized if I could believe in myself, period, I could believe in my psychic abilities too. I came to terms with my grief that I had, the losses that I had. I came to terms with a lot of things, but also how I got here on TikTok. Well, for most of my life, I was in the theater. And similar story, thank you for sharing that. Most of my life I was in the theater, so I did a lot of acting. I was a professional performer, producer, and playwright. And using artistic talents is a great way to tap into psychic talents. From my understanding, they use the same kind of the brain, side of the brain. That's why people can make music. Making music is, I believe, intuitive. Making art is intuitive. Even seeing a different, like being able to look in the future for being able to know when to buy different stocks and that kind of thing, or when to sell different stocks. That's intuitive as well, especially when everything is moving right and you're just like, ooh, I'm gonna sell and I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna sell on this high, and then things drop like in a week or something like that. That's intuitive. So we all have these abilities. It's just understanding how they work for us. In 2020, obviously everything shut down. All of my work ended in a 1 week period, and I saw 3 months of work that I had worked so hard all dry up. And I didn't know what to do. And I started telling stories on TikTok just through doing the ghost tour and sharing photos and that sort of thing. And then that dried up. And then next year I was like, so I'm pretty sure I've been talking to ghosts. Thank you, Jenny. I'm pretty sure I've been talking to ghosts. What if I wrote those conversations out? Okay, what if I did some skits? And at that point, my views were really low and not much was really going for me. It was like the slowest point of my entire life. And I was just like, well, I've got nothing to lose. Let's go. And now it's 2024. I started doing consultations because so many people wanted to share stories and so many people wanted to talk. Thank you, Roxanne. And I realized that if I was going to talk to people and still be able to pay my bills and that kind of thing, because I had so many emails, like hundreds of emails piling up, and I wanted to talk to people and I wanted to hear their stories and I wanted to share things with them and share what I had learned, I realized I had to charge something because, well, bills. Things really grew from there. I started sprinkling in psychic ability and mediumship ability over the years, and so many people were so supportive of that, and I've just grown and grown and grown, just like explosive, and it's been amazing. So yeah, goodness, I've had over 1,000 consultations with people since 2021. And that's something I do 2 times a week now, and I make videos on other days of the week, and I am writing on a day of the week, and I edit another day of the week. So my life is kind of like a hodgepodge of a variety of different things that I didn't realize throughout most of my life I was building up to this. So okay, anyway, that's how I got here. But I just want to say again, these talents are worked on. They are practiced. They were carefully cultivated. I worked on myself first before I shared anything with anybody. I really do. There's a parable in the Bible, actually, that talks about how do you plan to remove the speck from your neighbor's eye when you have a plank in your own. And I've always taken that as advice for my life. I don't want to be the person that's trying to help other people or fix other people if I'm not helping and fixing myself first. So yeah. You were talking about other tools. So I talked about my rods. I talked about the pendulum. Other thing that I have down here that I don't often use is a black mirror. It's an obsidian mirror. I got this from Lala Lotus too. This is for scrying. I've never done spell work on it, though I did use it for emotion coding with Krista. Krista's one of the readers on my readers team. And yeah, it's just fun, really. Like, what's interesting is, like, I can look into it, and I have used it for different things, but it's more for fun, and I can also do that by closing my eyes at this point. So I don't always use it, but it's down here, like, should I need it. Like, every now and then in a consult, I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna pull out my mirror and see how it goes. So, ooh, Boo Bear, I'm excited to talk to you. A lot of people book with me who have not booked with another reader before, and that just means so much to me. I want to make each experience cultivated and kind and cool and fun. I also, one of the reasons why I call them consultations rather than readings is I want everybody to walk away feeling like they have their own connections to spirit. I never want to be this thing that's between them and spirit. That's not my place to be. I teach in my consultations. I do not just do readings. That's why they're not called just readings. So that's something I'm passionate about. I want to teach. I want more people to trust themselves and trust their intuition and understand that they can connect. They just have to understand their language. So, I got the mirror from Lala Lotus, who is the jeweler that I worked with to create this. Other tools that I use, my stones, which, hold on a second, I will show you. Doop-a-doo. There they are. This is the other side of my tent. I think the Patreons are the only ones that have seen the other side of my tent. Because I've shown them different courses on lithomancy and other reading styles and that kind of thing. P.S. If you are interested in taking any of my courses for $10, you can get 150 hours of content immediately. So that is on my Patreon if you are so interested in joining. But that also teaches about psychic skill sets as well as different reading styles and that sort of thing. Also, I just realized that my makeup is doing something funny again. Excuse me a moment. Okay, so yeah, this is all my set. It was actually my Patreons who they requested at some point doing a show and tell of all of my pieces. I have been building these pieces for most of my life. And I didn't realize that all these pieces would wind up here one day. Life is funny. So that's my lithomancy set. I've got other stones that I have for grounding that are here. And I got all my incense. I actually do a little bit of clairsalience to pick out my incense at the beginning of the day. I just smell what smells interesting to me, whatever floats my boat, and then I put that on and use it throughout the day. So last thing that I use is, and this is more for fun, I do have an oracle deck. It's taken me a really long time to get that deck. And yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an oracle reader, but every now and then these are just nice to have. Actually, a huge thank you to my Patreons. The community tier actually helped me do readings for them, which was super cool. I wanted to practice doing oracle card readings, and you know, I could do it for my friends, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start a chat. It was like a little live in our group, and I did readings for them. And then what was it? Last month, we actually did a reading trade. So I pulled cards, which helped me grow, and then everybody else pulled cards, which helped them grow. And then we had so many cross validations. And so when people got these reads, it wasn't just one read from me. It was like between like 10 and 20 reads from everybody who was reading. And of course, all of this was done consensually, and no one had to read and no one had to be read. But that was very encouraging, and it encouraged a lot of other people to believe in their own skill sets. So yeah, difference between oracle and tarot. Tarot is a specific style, and there's specific cards that have very specific meanings to them. I am not a tarot reader. If I'm being honest, it was very overwhelming for me to have to memorize all those cards all at once. I did not feel the pull, and I never felt a connection to cards. I would say if you have more questions about that, I do have a tarot reader on my team. Their name is Matt. They go by Spirits in Training on here, and Matt would be the one to answer that question far better than I could. Oracle is more loosey-goosey. It's kind of like you get cards and you get meanings. For me, I usually look at the pictures and I'm like, that part of the picture sticks out to me. Wonder what that's about. So, yeah. Oh, yay. So many comments for Matt. Matt is lovely. Matt is amazing. Matt is great. We stan. Yes, yes, yes. Cool. I saw a question about the oldest piece in my set that I wanted to answer. And it's so funny. Before I even saw that question, I was looking at the piece and I was like, oh, I think that's the oldest. Yeah, I'm happy to offer appreciation and, or I'm happy to offer honesty with folks. So thank you, Courtney. And thank you for the heart. So yeah, the oldest piece in my set, yeah, it is this one. It's so funny. My hand was like, this one? This is a hair clip. It came from my childhood bathroom. And I used to use it to close this bag because at one point, all of these stones actually fit in this bag. Does not fit anymore. I now have a briefcase for them. So if you saw me at the Sacred Spaces gathering, yeah, they were all in there. But yeah, the reason why I use this was just to clip the bag. And it actually made its way into my set. Like, I was doing a pull and it came to the hair clip and I was like, all right, well, here you go. But yeah, hair clip, it, once again, meaning is what you make it. I actually pulled it today for somebody, and it sometimes I'll see in my mind a vision of like, is the hair clip like this or like this or like this, or is it broken, or is it like on the floor or something like that, and then I use that as a metaphor to like jump off on how to actually do the reading. So I look so cute with my case. Thanks, Krista. Krista was also doing emotion coding at the conference, which is really cool. Which, by the way, we will be having another Sacred Spaces gathering in September. That's all I'm allowed to say right now. It's going to be in Richmond again. I think that's all I'm allowed to say right now. But it is going to be happening again, and it's going to be even better than the last one. We learned so much from the conference. We knew we needed to have at least one to really get a better understanding of what we needed to know moving forward. And wow, we were given so much information on how to move forward, how to make things even smoother next time. So for everybody who went to the first Sacred Spaces gathering, thank you so much. Your patience is certainly appreciated. Your willingness to just like go out and just do this with us, even though it was our first hosted con, I should say. The next one's just going to be even better, and we're so excited. If you want to hear more about that, we actually did a follow-up interview on Emily and Crystalline's podcast, Alchemist Inkwell, where we talked about how the conference went. And sometimes I actually have that like podcast saved because it's so inspiring for me to listen to and really take a moment and to be present and think like, wow, we did that and people did that with us, and it was just so cool. So I go back and listen to it sometimes and I'm like, yeah, I did that. We're gonna do that again. It's so cool. Ooh, yeah. You won't be the only one coming from California. We actually had people from California in the last one. Yes. Yes, some of you were there. Yes, awesome. I look forward to seeing you again, Rebecca. Same to you, Caitlin. Yes, cannot wait. Yes. Oh, you got, Juno, you got to go on a walking cemetery tour in the cemetery where Marie Laveau is buried. Very cool. I found out where she was buried, and I wasn't able to go because it was like closed on the day that I was there or something. Yeah, it's gonna try to be there this time. Woo! Awesome, Gail. P.S. It's funny calling you Gail because I know what your name is. It makes sense, but I'm just like, oh, yeah, right. So, yes, awesome. Yeah, the next gathering is gonna be even cooler. Even cooler. We're gonna have I want to say it, but I can't. So I'll just leave it at that. Look holy. Yeah, internet names for sure. Yeah, I'm like, am I Rebecca Carmichael or am I Rebekah the Ghost Guide? Even saying like my last name, even though it's not a secret, I'm just kind of like, it's weird saying that when I go by Rebekah the Ghost Guide. Anyway. So cool. Okay, well, so far, I'm just going to say the initial poll that I made at the very top of this seems to be correct still. We're going in a very intellectual first direction rather than an entirely intuitive one. So, yeah. Ooh, Liv asks, can you sense auras? And if so, how do they come through for you as color or feelings? So, from my understanding, traditionally speaking, to sense auras is to see them. Now, whether you're seeing them through physical eye clairvoyance or inner eye clairvoyance, it's still the understanding of sight. So if you're feeling the emotion of somebody, I wouldn't exactly put that into auras. And I mean, definitions may vary, but to sense the emotional energy of somebody, I would say is more clairemotive or under the umbrella of clairsentient. I, on and off, have been able to see auras with my physical eyes, even when other abilities of mine were turned off. Something about auras was safe to my brain, and so I could see them. Now I primarily see them through inner eye clairvoyance. Though also it was really wild in college, sometimes when my emotions were spiking, which, by the way, my depression was unchecked and my mental health was so bad in college. And I was so scared of everything. I was so scared. But for some reason, if I was feeling like really angry, which only happened like a few times, or like super, super sad or scared, it's like I would see color and then not people. So that wasn't good. There should be balance. But yeah, now I see more texture, I would say, around somebody, and it's still not always through here. It's oftentimes through here. Like when I do healings and cleansings, I do that, but I'm also very clairsentient, so sometimes I will feel out texture. Some of my woo-woo friends will know exactly what I'm talking about, where I've like, I don't touch them, but like I'll run my hands near their body or something like that, and they'll be like, I'll be like, oh, there's a bump there, can I take that out for you? Like, oh, there seems to be a this, and this, would you like that removed? Like, so yeah. What's interesting is, cleansing was something that always came intuitively to me, and I've been able to track it back to different past lives. But for as long as I can remember, I wouldn't say as long, I'd say like actually starting college. College was trip. I don't like living my life thinking, oh, I would go back and do that, like I would redo that. But like college, if I could, I would like to redo some things or not go. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. We don't have to get into that. Anywho, what was the question at hand? Yeah, I started doing energetic cleansings of people in college, and I took to it very quickly, and I had no idea what I was doing. Because goodness, 10 years ago, we were not talking about this sort of thing, and the information was not out there the way it is today. So I'm glad to be living in the today. That's all I'm gonna say. So, ooh, you felt people's texture in your hands sometimes too. Yeah, so I would say that's a sign of being clairsentient. Yeah, so, yeah. Let's see, I'm just going through some comments. Yeah. Ooh, you think there's a ghost in your store? Rumor has it she's been around for years. Very cool, Jess. That's like going anywhere downtown here. It's a very common topic to be like, hey, do you know what goes bump in the night? Do we have numerous soulmates? Ooh, that's a good question. So I believe in soul families. So if we're looking at ourselves and we acknowledge that like we may have rings of people, thank you, Liv. So, sorry, I keep looking at the comments and I get excited. I'm like, wait, train of thought. So we may have like our inner circle of like close folks, and then we may have like the next and the next and the next and the next. We may have circles that also, it may be like a 3-dimensional circle, you know, circles on top of circles. Like it doesn't always have to be as 2-dimensional as it might sound. So I think in our inner ring of people, we likely see them a lot in different lifetimes. Sometimes those people are our guides. Sometimes we are their guides. And sometimes in order to grow, those relationships will change in different lives. So in that regard, you may have a soul family who maybe is a lover or is a family member or a best friend or a pet. You may have a lot of different kinds of relationships in there. Now, I have found that there's such a thing, I call it bonds, where one can be like bonded with someone through time. And it doesn't always have to be one someone. Monogamy is a very here and now thing, but it wasn't always a here thing. So sometimes I think there are those who have bonds with like numerous beings. But those bonds are serious. Here's the thing. It doesn't always mean that you will be incarnate with that bond. Sometimes that bond might be a soulmate. Sometimes that bond might be Sometimes that bond might be a spirit guide. Sometimes that bond may incarnate as a different kind of relation to you. It doesn't always have to be romantic. Bond can mean a lot of different things. And let's see what else to say about that. I'd say some folks, generally speaking, may not know who their bonds are, and that's okay. Like, we're meant to be in the here and now, and it's okay to be with different people. It's okay to change relationships because you change or your standards change or something changes or something like that. We're meant to live life, and I would say it's more important to live life than get somehow obsessed with finding the one. What if you have like the 10, and if you find one of them, you'll be happy? Or maybe you'll find 2 of them and be happy. Or maybe you're meant to be with one of them for however long, and then you're meant to have that play out, and then you can be with another one for however long. Maybe you'll be with all 10. Like, once again, I think our society is really obsessed with monogamy. Now, granted, that's coming from a polyamorous person. But I also look at things through time and how even the structure of monogamy was very much about ownership of women and ownership of blood and ownership of money and like all of this stuff. It's just got so much ownership to it. Not to say that it can't work. I'm just saying sometimes I think it's a limiting belief that we have to stay with one person or we're only able to find one person. So, yeah, I found two. So, and I'm very grateful to have found the two that I'm with. So, yeah, anywho, I am not Canadian. I am from North Kakalaki. Do all ghosts speak English? Nope. But all ghosts can speak in thought. So that's how we can speak with them. Mental imagery. I mean, let's see. Oh, yay. Thanks for coming back, Anna. Yeah, FYP is weird. Like, I've been posting regularly, and I always say if you don't want to miss any of my ghost skits, I do pre-release them, sometimes months in advance. It's at the lowest tier on my Patreon, which is $5 a month, which I super appreciate the support there. Massage therapist, before people tell me where they hurt, I actually feel it in my body. Ooh, okay, so flow, I would say that's a kind of clairsentience. Just be sure that you're cleansing out anything that you receive from others so that it doesn't get stuck on you. Also, I don't know what my camera's doing, but it keeps doing a weird focus thing. I don't know if that's just me. I'm just trying to scroll down in the comments. Do I ever come up to Boone, North Carolina? Yeah, I was there in December. I love Boone. Ooh, Lily, do I know if Catherine and I have connected in past lives? Yes. Let's see. One in particular I know. I know we've also connected in other realms. And I will cap it at that just because I would want to talk with Catherine before going into details on things that regard them as well as me. But yeah, perhaps if they're open to that, maybe if they're open to that, we'll do another like live or something together. Though I know both of our lifestyles are so different. Like, for any Boo crew who are watching, I so appreciate you. I think your vibe and Catherine's vibe just works so well. And then you have my people who are like, let's learn. I do enjoy Catherine's lives. I watch, or sometimes I'll listen, from a distance. So if you don't see me in there, I'm usually listening from the other room. Because I am channeling Greg. That's why. That's the serious answer. I am Greg. And if you don't know who that is, and if you don't know the reference, I guess you have to start watching Catherine's lives. That's all I'm going to say. So, ooh, Jamie, you asked, I think I have a house fairy. I have young kids developing their gifts. Please help how to coexist. Boundaries. Same boundaries you put out for the physical people, put them out for the spirits too. And just be like, ooh, we don't like scary. We're not putting up with that. That's going to be a hard no for us. Communication is 2 ways. So, yeah, there are a lot of ways to do that. I have a whole video up on cleansing space and making boundaries. That's on my Patreon, but I also have one that's up on my YouTube. If you go to my Q&A playlist, it's on there. It's a bit dated, but the information is so good. So, you can check that out if you want to. Rebecca, I never said I was Greg. I said I channel Greg. Rebecca, why are you in my chat being like, why would you even insinuate that I have anything to do with Greg? I do not understand. Like, no habla inglés. What in the world? It's correct. Thank you, Caitlin. Set the record straight. I channel Greg. That's it. You poor people on my side who are like, what in the world? That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, Anna Eve, we have done lives together. We've done a lot of lives together, and the recordings are up on YouTube, and the most recent live where we talked about the Love Don't Judge episode is going to be up on Monday, if you want to watch that. So, and for those of you who actually watched it live, the last 20 minutes I did cut, because I wanted to keep that for myself. basically we just got a lot into the feely wheelies with each other, which is beautiful, and I loved that, and I cried. Thank you, Hannah. And I didn't think it would be applicable to the YouTube channel for more and more people to just see us gushing over each other. So if you were part of the 300 people between our two lives that saw that, congratulations. But for the rest of it, I kept the hour of the content where we're actually talking about Love Don't Judge. So, do I go into family trees? No. Okay, so I am a budding clairaudient. I'm primarily inner ear clairaudient, so getting names for me, it's not impossible. Some of you have had readings with me where I have been able to be like, name. But depending on the frequency of who I am talking to, it's not always as simple as that. So, I can work with ancestors if they are around. I also know Matt on my readers team can work with ancestors. I know, Catherine can work with ancestors. Catherine, I know, has solved some family mysteries in their day during their psychic readings, which is pretty dang cool. So if that's what you're looking into, well, you have a variety of folks that you can choose from. That's the point of the readers team. Find who resonates with you, even if it's not me. Find who resonates with you and work with them. So cool. Oh, we cried with you. Yes. Detector Chit Cat. Bummer that you didn't get notified for the live. Pristinius, yeah, you were there. Chaotic and proud. Yes. So yeah, for those of you who saw, you know, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to have Catherine in my life for so many reasons. So I'll leave the gushing for the Love Don't Judge, which we did for like 9 hours, by the way. We were just like gushing back and forth for 9 hours. Which is great. I am loved and I love, and that's a beautiful thing I'm able to admit wholly and honestly. And yeah, anyway, so I have been on an hour. I think it's been a good time. Oh my goodness, thanks girl mom. Here's a shout out to you. Watch the entire Ghost Skits playlist last night from beginning to end. Couldn't stop. Yay! Anybody else looking for a binge fest? I have regularly been posting skits if anybody wants to catch up on the Ghost Skits playlist. I'm reading the love stuff. Yes. Cool. So, yeah, well, thanks again for joining. My prophecy for this live, I should say my psychic reading for this live, has been accurate. We stuck to intellectual stuff rather than, the reading stuff. I came in here in the event that I felt like reading, but I think answering questions was more important because y'all have questions and I want to answer them. I also ranted about how we all can do psychic stuff and how that's beautiful and we're all at different places and we should all be encouraging each other and supporting one another. So, other thing, if you want to learn more psychic skill sets yourself, remember I have a Q&A playlist, I have a whole YouTube, and for the most in-depth course content that's going to be on my Patreon, remember that's right now 150 hours of content for $10. You can get all of that immediately. So if that is of interest, if you're watching this in post, I will link that stuff below. If you're watching it now, check out the link in my bio. And remember, I will never DM you about readings. Ever, ever, ever. Please block and report those people. Those are not me. All information on readings will be on the link in my bio, period, end of story. Okay, so cool. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I wish you well wherever you are. I see one of you, it's your Saturday morning. I love that. I take it you are on the other side of the continent, and I love that. So yes, have a wonderful rest of your evening or day or morning wherever you are. And you know what? Remember, you are incarnate now. That makes you magical. These are hard times, and that's okay, because we're here. We're together, and we're in it together. Cool. Have a good night or day or wherever you are.